Salutations, kindred souls. Welcome to another episode of Lux Martin Enlightenment. I'm Lux, and on this channel we talk about how the key to enlightenment is integration, the using of the tools in your toolbox to create a life you so beautifully created and enjoy. Today's episode is going to be the power of pause, something that's oh so true and an ongoing working progress in my life. So I will in no way, shape, or form claim that I have mastered the pause, nor that I'm not guilty of the many, many moments where failing to notice the pause has caused some frustration in life. So this is a very potent and relevant topic in my life that I'd love to share with you. And I hope that in my sharing my experience with you, something that I said today spurs you along forward in your enlightenment journey. So the point of understanding the power of pause is that sometimes the most productive thing you can do is stop. We're so trained to fill every space and every silence with something else, to rush to the next thing, to constantly be busy. But what if the breakthrough you're craving only comes when you stop pushing long enough for the true breakthrough, the true answer to show itself to you? I am so incredibly guilty of spending the majority of my life having this incredible need to constantly be productive, to fill every minute of my day with productivity. And anyone that personally knows me knows that I am the epitome of needing to have productivity in every single one of my days, and that days off and space and pause are something that I struggle to utilize, enjoy, make part of my everyday human existence. But it's a work in progress. And the reason why I want to share it with you is because I'm seeing the benefits of what working on it is doing for my life. So today, I want to share how a conscious pause, or rather the practice of many conscious pauses in your life, can shift your entire day, your entire energy, your entire thought process back into alignment. I am starting to see in real time in my life how taking intentional pauses in my life, whether that's 60 seconds, 35 minutes, or 3 days, helps save me from a lot of frustrating time and energy and space spinning my wheels or in my head thinking down this track that's not really getting me where I want to be. And how the pause is the opportunity to pivot, essentially. But a lot of times we can't pivot because we miss the moment. So we're going to start with talking about this concept with breaking down the myth of momentum. We often think that if we stop, we'll lose progress. And for me, especially growing up as a young age, as a young person constantly needing to be on the move and productive, I was very guilty of that thought process of thinking that if I stop moving, I won't get where I want to be. I won't get the thing, achieve the thing, be the thing, or I will not be where I want to be. I will not reach the goal, you know? Some real life examples of this. And this is in this myth, this is where I ask you to analyze your own life in where might I be doing this. Examples of the way we crush space or pauses with more stuff, such as rebounding from one relationship to the next, never having seasons of singleness, filling your days off with other obligations, even though they're not work. Maybe you filled your entire day with other gatas, other commitments, other things other than time or space to yourself, of nothingness, essentially. Continuing your education beyond a point that is productive. And so when I bring up these things, some of them of which I do myself, the point is not to call you out or point fingers at what you're doing is toxic, because getting an education isn't toxic. Wanting to be in a relationship isn't toxic. Wanting to use your days off in ways that feels good isn't toxic. What could be is the underlying motivator that what you're actually doing is bypassing or distracting yourself from what might be revealed to you in that space. And that's a hard thing to look at, but that is why we break that myth of momentum, of feeling like ever motion is better than pausing, because a lot of times we are secretly covering up what is our actual fear of what we might see in a pause, in the clarity and the stillness of a pause. And as scary as that might be, that's okay. And I encourage you to crush that myth that if you stop, you can't get back started again, or you'll lose progress, you'll lose track in where you were trying to get to. Because in your stillness, or even in your derailment in that stillness of seeing this thing that you really needed to see, I hope that your journey unfolds in some other incredible, beautiful way, because in your derailment of this thing that you found in the pause, you actually found healing, wholeness, integration, something more beautiful than you could have achieved if you blasted through and continued to ignore it. So I'll get off my little soapbox about that. But in truth, pause creates space for clarity and intuitive redirection. So again, whether a pause is a minute, a couple hours, or a couple days, you have space for clarity. And in that clarity, you can choose the direction. Sometimes what really breaks my heart is seeing both myself and other people I care about get so lost in a momentum and refuse to take those pauses, to the point where the momentum has snowballed so far, upon realizing later that it wasn't a direction they didn't truly desire. I've seen myself do that too, with relationships, with career paths, of almost buying that sunk cost fallacy of, I have to keep going because if I stop, it won't work out. But then you later on realize that you spent so much time and momentum going in a direction that's not truly what you desired, that it's just as heartbreaking to either go down with the ship, or it's 10 times harder to redirect that snowball of momentum back towards what you actually wanted to be in alignment with. So in actuality, what I'm trying to point out is there is absolutely truth and power in putting some grit and some momentum and some hard work and effort into things you want in life. Not arguing with that at all. What I'd like to present is the duality of the other side of that coin, in which sometimes pause gives us the ability to choose a better direction before we spend a lot of time and energy going down a direction that we didn't really want. Yeah, some sort of a little caveat I'll put on that too, to kind of highlight these dualities. Someone that is really wise, that was guiding me for a season of my life, once told me that motion, even laterally, is better than staying stuck. And he was right. And what he meant by telling me that is, sometimes in your shifting your attention and direction or data collection into something else, it helps you get unstuck by shifting your energy and your thought process to a new form of data collection or of pursuit. Helps things bust loose. But he didn't mean that from an unintentional place. So this is a shameless plug for my other episode I recently did on blocks in your rabbit holes, of how sometimes backing out and digging a slightly different rabbit hole tunnel is the key to a major breakthrough. So yes, motion even laterally can be helpful, but not if it's just thrashing around and flailing around for the sake of, I don't want to be still because being still means I'm stuck. That's not the case at all. Lateral motion for the sake of data collection or ease of pushing in a particular direction is powerful, because it's edging you consciously around this stuck place to a breakthrough, but you chose it intentionally and consciously. So now we're going to move on to talk about distinguishing just a little bit, a little more clarity about what a true pause feels like. Because myself included, so many of us are guilty of calling scrolling or sitting on the couch and zoning out with a TV or a screen is pausing. That's not pausing, that's distraction. Pause, a true pause, is presence. And something that I like to describe of how I know what a true pause is it feels grounding. Pauses to me used to feel like distractions, because what my body and my brain was wanting to do was get back to being busy. Now to me, when I'm feeling flighty, ungrounded, overwhelmed, and anxious, a pause for me 100% has the purpose of grounding, whether it's 60 seconds, a 30-minute dog walk, or a long weekend to myself. The absolute intention every single time of a pause for me is to come back to myself and to soothe both my soul and my nervous system, to get to a place where clarity provides me the opportunity to make a new decision. So again, pauses are not distractions, and they're not empty space. They are with the intention of grounding and presence. such as a breath, a little stretch of your shoulders, a micro reset, okay, a recalibration. Pause is the opportunity to recalibrate, rezone into both where your human is and where your intuition is. So, this is where I offer you a 60-second practice. We're going to start with just how to use a 60-second pause. I absolutely use this in my life on the regular. When I'm noticing that I'm getting the gottas, gotta do this, gotta be here, I only have an hour and a half before I should be here doing this, gotta get these emails in, I get myself ungrounded. I get myself up in my head, up in my ego and my thoughts, and I'm feeling it both in my body and in my inner self of like, you're all up in these thoughts and you're getting carried away with the momentum of anxiety. I will literally make myself sit. Sometimes I wouldn't even let myself sit down. I will make myself sit my butt in a chair or on the couch somewhere comfortable, put my phone down and take a minute, take a few deep breaths, let myself be quiet, and then ask. Here's the key phrase: ask, what is actually mine to do next? What do I actually want to do? Kicker here, even if it feels counterproductive. I am oh so guilty of living the majority of my life from a place of feeling like every moment of what I must do must be for the ultimate epitome of productivity, even if it's at the detriment of myself or what I actually desire or what makes me happy. So I have for a long time been battling myself in taking the pause moments when you sit there and you go, well, I should get to these emails, but I really just want to go outside and brush my dogs. Or I should squeeze in these errands before I go pick up my kiddo from school, but I really need that extra hour of sleep. You know what I mean? And so when you argue with yourself about this, this is where we often shame ourselves or guilt ourselves into continuing to squish the space with more stuff because that's what's right, that's what's better, that's what's the better choice. But in actuality, when I let myself accept that the better choice is that extra couple hours of sleep, or taking the time to film content instead of my job, or taking the 30-minute dog walk instead of cleaning the house, what might feel counterproductive is actually the most beneficial thing I can do, because again, we go back to the changing of my mind, my energy. It shifts my day. Maybe I was starting this day off rough, or I was hurting, or I was emotional about something, or I was stressed and overwhelmed about something. But the pause in the allowing myself to do what I deeply actually want to do instead of what I'm forcing myself to do almost always shifts my energy to a lighter, better place. And then the rest of my day, regardless of whether I got other productive things done or not, feels better. I can lay down at the end of the day and go, yeah, that was good. I'm okay with that. And that's the point. That's the point, is we want to enjoy our days, regardless of whether we're packed full of awesome action or not. You know, your human existence should be enjoyable the majority of the time. So again, the 60 seconds, whether you're in traffic, in line, rushing around home, and you start to notice, you notice the moment, I'm really ungrounded, I'm really overwhelmed, I'm really triggered, emotional right now. Taking the minute to breathe, to close your eyes, to put your phone down and say, what do I actually want to do next? Super powerful opportunity right there. And I will tell you that the more I let myself do that, the more confidence and sovereignty I build in myself and my decision-making power. And the beauty in the consequences of that are often positive. More often than not, I can't think of one where that just totally ruined my day, or a particular thing that I decided to pivot away from because I did something I wanted else in the moment. And now we're going to move on to another avenue of pause. Rather than the short pause, we're going to move into the long pause. A deeper pause allows for the clarity of emotional authority to pass. So I will do an episode on human design some other time when I feel like I have a better way to explain to you what it is and what it's for. I don't consider myself an expert on it yet, but I will tell you that in studying my human design and in understanding that there's this thing in my chart that says that I lead with emotional authority, it has been the light bulb to the reasons why I've done my life the way I've done it. Knowing that, not knowing these things about me and the way I was built has caused friction. And thus, in this understanding of these ways I was built, and in choosing to use them as tools rather than things to struggle against, I've noticed significant changes. So, again, human design another time, but regardless of human design, knowing that a deeper pause lets you lead with emotional authority is key here. And the point of this is not to say, not in any way am I saying that you should make choices out of high emotions, because decisions made in emotional peaks reflect a temporary energy in the moment, not truth. And so, what I'm saying all this for is to help you understand that some pauses aren't just moments, they're cycles, they're hours, days, or weeks where you let yourself ride the emotional wave until you reach a neutrality. A pause is sometimes necessary because our human carcass, our human nervous system is on overload, and the only way to get to a place where you can make a better decision, a decision that you truly feel aligned with, is to ride the wave of emotionality until you can find neutrality. Sometimes that takes days. For me, when I'm very emotional or very moved about something, whether that's positively or negatively, I have a hard and fast rule of myself that I do not talk about it for 12 to 24 hours. I do not spill it out to somebody, hash it out with somebody until I have ridden the wave and processed at least half a day. Usually a day is what it takes, because it is guaranteeable that what would come out of my mouth in hour 2 is always different than what would come out of my mouth in hour 14 or 15. And more often than not, what this is a less clear, less awesome version of what I would have said here in hour 14, 15, 20, something like that. So I see the power of a deeper pause in my life, because as much as my human is struggling, as much as my ego wants to say, but I want to say it now, and I really know what I have to say, and I deserve to be heard, yada, 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 all that's true. Not going to argue with the way that feels true. What I'm saying is that in my realization of, I almost always come to a different, deeper, clearer thought process and energetic feeling later after the wave passes. I trust that a deeper pause benefits me, both in a spiritual and practical human life decision-making kind of way. So I hope that you'll understand that in this distinction, pauses are both short and long. And this is where we're going to move into the topic of integrating pause into real life. The long pauses teach patience and deep recalibration. The short ones teach presence and grounding. Both build trust in your timing. Yeah? So whether you're taking 10 minutes to get present, soothe your nervous system, and make the next now decision, or you need a long 3-day weekend to yourself to deeply recalibrate with who you are and what you want and where you're going, both are beneficial. However, I'm going to back up a half a step from that because I kind of got to point C of ABC in integrating pause in real life. The part A in integration is awareness. So it took me a really long time to become aware of the moments where I was getting swept up in anxious momentum, in feeling like I just need to keep going. And it took a while before I could really start to understand where those moments were, let alone do anything about them. Recognizing all of the flighty, ungrounded, anxious moments I had in any given day, and then understanding that I had the choice to pause and do something different about them. Step 1, that's awareness. Step 2 is seeing those moments as opportunities, not to escape, but to recalibrate and ground. So putting the grounding portion, putting the grounding intention into the pauses. So whether that's between phone calls in a busy workday, putting your phone down and taking out the trash before responding to a text that felt edgy, taking a full deep breath with exhale with pause to let words land in a heated conversation before responding, taking a moment to Find something to laugh about or be grateful about while you're waiting in a never ending grocery line at the store. Those are the moments where you're not escaping, you're not endlessly, wastefully waiting. You're grounding, you're recalibrating, you're staying present, and your awareness of that is the muscle you're building. So then we wrap up this whole episode with the point of all of this. The process of integration of pause into your life is to build the awareness, which then creates the confidence in your sovereignty, your self-love, your self-respect, and the ability to trust your decision making, because the awareness is an invitation not only to connect deeper with yourself, but to the divinity of you, within you. And so all of this to say that you don't have to be chasing guidance. This human life isn't necessarily about chasing guidance, healing, wellness, whatever it is that you're chasing in this human life. It catches up with you when you get still. And so I offer you the opportunity to see how the power of pause is not wasted time. It's full of the next right step waiting for you to notice it. Yeah. So thank you for letting me talk about this really potent, relevant topic in my life. And I hope that my sharing of how I'm using the power of pause in my everyday life is changing the way I do my life. It's leading to happier, better days. It's leading to balance of productivity and rest. It's leading to balanced femininity and masculinity in my life. And it feels really good. And I hope that you can find that feeling by utilizing the integration of both a 60-second and a deeper pause, whatever that may look like for you, to get in your human, get in your soul, get connected, and know what the next right choice is for you. So thank you for listening. Keep seeking, keep softening, keep showing up. Remember, the light you're looking for is the light you already are. Take care.